You wake up, but you don't feel rested. The alarm buzzes. Your body aches. Your mind is already running, and before your feet even touch the floor, you feel behind. You tell yourself, I'll rest when things calm down. But when does that ever happen? There's always something to do, something to finish, something to prove. So you push, through the tiredness, through the stress, through the ache that whispers, you need to slow down, because you can't slow down. Because if you stop, who will keep everything together? Because if you take a break, you'll fall behind. Because if you rest, maybe you'll look weak. But what if you're not meant to keep pushing through exhaustion? What if your breakthrough isn't in doing more, but in finally stopping? Exodus 33:14 says, My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. If you never stop, you will never be renewed. You keep walking, but nothing grows, no matter how hard you try. The ground is cracked, dry, and lifeless. The garden in our parable, it didn't fight the season of stillness, it rested. It surrendered to the process, and because it rested, it flourished. But you fight it all the time. Here are some things you need to know. Number 1, God designed rest, but you keep resisting it. From the beginning, rest wasn't an afterthought. It was part of creation. Genesis 2:2-3 says, By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing, so on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. God rested, not because he was tired, not because he needed to recover, but because he was showing you how to live. But instead of following his rhythm, you resist it. You drink another cup of coffee, staring at an endless to-do list, pushing through exhaustion. You fill your schedule to the brim. You feel guilty when you slow down. You ignore the signals your body gives you until you have nothing left to give. But what if constantly moving isn't making you stronger? What if it's actually breaking you down? Aaron worked harder, but nothing changed. The garden rested and everything flourished. This is a key truth. Rest is not an interruption of productivity. It is part of God's design for life. What if instead of resisting rest, you embraced it? Number 2, Jesus invites you to rest, but you have to accept it. Matthew 11:28-29 says, Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Jesus speaks about 2 kinds of rest. Physical rest, I will give you rest, a gift you must receive, and soul rest. You will find rest for your souls, a deeper peace you must step into. But rest isn't automatic. You must choose it. Jesus doesn't force you to rest. He invites you. But you ignore the invitation saying, I'll rest when I have time. You stay up late, thinking, worrying, striving. You wake up exhausted, already behind. And all along, Jesus is saying, Come to me, I will give you rest. Aaron paced, anxious, waiting for growth, trying to force what only God can do. We do the same thing when we refuse to pause. You push, you worry, you strive. But what if instead of fighting for control, you actually let go? True rest isn't just stopping work. It's trusting that God is in control. What if rest isn't something you earn, but something you receive? Number 3, rest is not a loss of time. It's a gain of strength. It feels wrong to stop. It feels like if you slow down, you'll fall behind. But consider this. A tree that never stops growing becomes weak. A field that never rests loses its ability to produce. Psalm 23:2-3 says, He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. Rest restores strength. But you don't just need rest. You need relaxation too. Rest is stopping. Relaxation is unwinding. This is why you rest but still feel tired. Jesus doesn't just want you to pause your work. He wants you to renew your soul. Rest isn't retreating, it's rebuilding. What would your life look like if you trusted that rest could actually make you more productive, not less? You resist rest because you don't trust the process. You think if you stop, things will fall apart. But God says, "Be still and know that I am God." Rest is an act of trust. The garden trusted the seasons and flourished. The gardener trusted the process and was rewarded. Aaron fought against rest and only found exhaustion. Life is loud. Even when you try to slow down, your mind doesn't stop. Emails, deadlines, family responsibilities, things you forgot to do. But the garden in our parable, it stopped. It rested. It didn't fight the season of stillness. And when spring came, it flourished. So let me ask you, what if you're not meant to keep pushing through exhaustion? What if your breakthrough is waiting on the other side of rest and relaxation? Your body speaks, but are you listening? The garden follows God's natural law without question. The trees lose their leaves, the ground hardens in the winter, the plants stop producing. But you resist. You ignore the headaches from too little sleep. You push past the fatigue, running on caffeine and adrenaline. You pretend the stress in your shoulders will disappear on its own. Your body warns you when you need rest. But most of the time, you don't listen until you're forced to. Psalm 127:2 says, "It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives sleep to his beloved." God never intended for you to live exhausted. But when you refuse to listen, your body speaks for you through burnout, irritability, lack of focus, sickness. Rest isn't just a suggestion. It's part of how you were designed to function. What signs has your body been giving you that you need to rest or relax? Have you been ignoring them? Rest and relaxation aren't the same, but you need both. The garden doesn't just stop, it restores. The soil softens, the roots deepen, the nutrients return. But many people think they are resting, when in reality, they're just switching tasks, watching TV while scrolling through emails, taking a break but worrying about work the whole time, lying in bed but replaying stressful conversations in your mind. This is why you sleep but still wake up tired, because rest and relaxation are not the same thing. Rest is stopping, relaxation is unwinding. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Jesus doesn't just offer rest for your body, He offers peace for your soul. Are you truly resting or just distracting yourself? When was the last time you allowed yourself to truly relax? The garden doesn't rush the process, neither should you. Imagine a gardener standing in the middle of a frozen field, yelling at the soil to grow. Ridiculous, right? But that's exactly what you do to yourself. You expect yourself to always be productive. You get frustrated when you don't have the energy to do more. You try to rush healing, growth, and renewal. But just like the seasons take time to change, your renewal won't happen overnight. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." If you don't allow yourself to rest now, you won't have the strength to flourish later. The best way to prepare for your next season is to be fully present in this one. Where in your life are you trying to force productivity when God is actually calling you to rest? Stillness is not emptiness, it's restoration. Many people resist rest because they associate stillness with emptiness. If you aren't busy, you feel unimportant. If you aren't accomplishing something, you feel useless. If you slow down, you feel like you're wasting time. But in reality, true restoration happens in stillness. Think of a deep breath after a long day. It doesn't change your workload. It doesn't fix all your problems. But in that moment, it brings relief. Psalm 23:2-3 says, "He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul." God doesn't just want to restore your energy, He wants to restore your soul. What if the peace you're looking for isn't in doing more, but in slowing down enough to receive it? What small moments of stillness can you invite into your day to restore your peace? The garden didn't rest because it was lazy. It rested because it was wise. So what if you embraced that same wisdom? What if instead of pushing yourself to exhaustion, you allowed yourself to recover? What if instead of seeing rest as weakness, you saw it as a source of strength? What if instead of waiting until you crash, you made rest and relaxation a priority before it's too late? The garden lies still, covered in frost. Everything looks lifeless, but something powerful is happening beneath the surface. This is the part we often miss. We hear about rest. We know it's important. But actually practicing it, that's a different story. So now let's take what we've learned from the garden and apply it to your life. Because this isn't just about understanding rest, it's about actually living it. Here are some things you need to know. Number 1. Rest isn't a sign of weakness. It's a gift. The gardener walks through the quiet field, his hands brushing over the dormant plants. He doesn't rush them. He doesn't force them to bloom early. He knows they need time, because growth doesn't happen by force. It happens by process. But you treat rest like a weakness, like something you have to earn. Maybe you've thought, if I stop, I'll fall behind. If I slow down, I'll be seen as lazy. But think about this, even God rested. Genesis 2:2 says, "On the seventh day, God rested from all His work." If God Himself took time to rest, why do you think you don't need to? The garden flourishes because it follows the natural rhythm of rest and renewal. So what would happen if you stopped treating rest as an afterthought and started seeing it as part of how you were designed? Rest isn't a reward. It's part of how life was meant to function. Number 2. Rest prepares you for what's next. The garden doesn't just rest, it restores. Beneath the surface, roots grow deeper. The soil regains its nutrients. Every part of the garden is being prepared for what's ahead. But you keep running on empty, expecting to be ready for the next season, without ever stopping to refuel. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary." The garden doesn't waste its rest. It invests it. What if your season of stillness isn't a setback? It's preparation. Rest isn't just stopping, it's strengthening. Number 3. Without rest, you wither. A plant that never stops producing eventually withers. Its leaves turn brown. Its branches weaken. It never took time to renew itself. And now, it's falling apart. This is what happens when you never stop. Your soul starts to feel disconnected. You keep pushing, thinking you can handle it, until one day you realize you can't. Psalm 23:2 says, He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. Sometimes God allows seasons of stillness because without them, we would collapse. The garden knows this. That's why it doesn't fight rest, it embraces it. Are you fighting a season of rest that God is trying to lead you into? Rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Number 4. Rest allows deep, unseen growth. The garden looks still, but if you could see beneath the soil, you'd realize that the roots are growing deeper than ever before. Just because you don't see growth doesn't mean it isn't happening. John 15:4 says, "Remain in me, as I also remain in you." No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. What if your season of stillness is actually a season of deep strengthening? The garden trusts the unseen process. Can you trust that God is still working even when things feel slow? Rest isn't just about stopping. It's about growing in ways the world can't see. Rest restores joy and creativity. The gardener returns in spring. Something incredible has happened. The trees that once stood bare are now budding with new life. The flowers bloom. The air fills with fragrance. The stillness gave way to beauty. This is what happens after true rest. But you? When was the last time you felt alive? When was the last time you felt inspired? When was the last time you felt renewed, full of joy? Psalm 51:12 says, "Restore to me the joy of your salvation and uphold me with a willing spirit." Sometimes the reason you feel drained isn't because you've lost passion. It's because you've lost rest. What if the joy you're missing isn't gone forever? It just needs space to return. Rest makes room for joy. The garden stands full of life. It is vibrant, strong, and ready for the season ahead. Because it didn't fight rest, it embraced it. And now it flourishes. So what about you? What if you stopped resisting the rest your soul needs? What if you trusted that God isn't punishing you with stillness? He's preparing you through it. What if instead of fighting exhaustion, you finally surrendered to renewal? Rest isn't wasted time. It's what allows you to come back stronger.